Meltio technology works by using 9 blue lasers within the print head. It can be deployed within a 3-axis system, on a robot arm with a positioner, or within a CNC, so we can get full versatility of manufacturing the parts. And it works by using a wire feedstock, sometimes multi-wire feedstock, to lay down onto metal plates and produce fully dense metal parts. Meltio finds its home in a lot of different environments. The first of those is in a machine shop. So the beauty of the Meltio technology is we produce near-net shapes. What that means is we can produce a stock overnight and then just run finishing passes on the machine tools, reducing the lead times and getting the parts out to customers faster. The other benefit to this is that we can also replace long lead times and costly manufacturing processes such as casting to keep the wheels of industry turning and producing parts for breakdowns and machines that have failed in service, and making sure that they're back up and running as quick as possible. The laser deposition process on the Meltio works by having a wire feed that's coming through centrally to the melt pool. We have 9 lasers that are scattered around the print head, and what will happen with those is that they reach a focal point where the metal hits the platform. That allows it to melt, lay down by following a coordinate system, and what it will do is repeat that layer after layer after layer, so we can get fully dense metal parts through a system like the one behind me, on a robot or in a CNC. The Meltio system uses wire as its feedstock. So why do we use wire? The first thing is we can get really good part density through this process. Because we can use the wire and send the current through it and grind it out to the platform, we're not just throwing powder at a melt pool and hoping that everything's going to go into that. We also then have to look at handling of the material. We can literally have that on a spool, and as long as we're storing it in cool, dry places, there's nothing to worry about in terms of part corrosion or any contaminants getting into the wire in any way, shape or form. The final benefit we have for this system is cost. Because we're working with welding wire, it makes it a really cost-effective way for us to get fully dense metal parts through the Meltio system. Why is wire safer than powder? The first thing is handling of the material. Because with powder, when it gets into a dispersed cloud, it can be extremely volatile, potentially explosive. So it needs to have really careful handling and particular storage so that those things don't happen. The benefit of working with this material here is that it's a standard welding wire, so it sits on a spool, it's nice and easy to be around, nice and easy to handle, and that just loads into the machine and it's ready to go. The other benefit is actually working with the machine and handling of the environment. So with powder, we have to go through full purges of the system to make sure that we've got a fully inert atmosphere. With the Meltio system, we can work through local shielding for some materials, so we don't have to go through that, which lowers the asphyxiation risk and also the cost of argon should we need to restart that process as well. Talking about the advantages of the Meltio system, the first one of those is diversity. Because of how we can deploy the system, we have a 3-axis system like we have behind me. We can put it onto a 6+2 robot, or we can put it inside a CNC so we can do full hybrid manufacturing and get full finished product straight from the system. That allows us to produce really complex parts if we're going through the robot, or we can have full control of the entire atmosphere when we look through the 3-axis system, and anywhere in between for each one of these different deployments. Another advantage is how easy this system is to use. Whether we go through the 3-axis system and we use a software called Meltio Horizon, that means we can plug and play pretty much any geometry that's design compatible through the system, hit slice, load that onto the machine and press go and be printing within a matter of minutes. When we go into the more complex systems, we also have Meltio Space, which allows us to look at a lot of different printing strategies, whether that be planar, radial, revolve, whatever different complexities we want to be looking at. All that is as plug and play as we can possibly make it, so that we're removing any barriers to you getting the parts that you want out of these systems. Because of how easy the softwares are to use as well as the systems, that gives us great flexibility for manufacturing different parts. So we can do batch manufacturing of the same thing again and again and again, or what we can do is do a different part every single time, which then we don't need to look at costly MOQs, huge lead times. We can get the parts off, straight into service in a matter of days. One of the biggest aces up the sleeve that Meltio has is its ability to be super efficient with materials. What that means is that if you were to design a part and naturally you're conflicted with the material that you can work with, because that's only one material, normally through a machining or a casting process. With the multi-deposition, what we can look at is if we have mating surfaces that need a softer material, or if we want a corrosion resistant property, providing that the metallurgy allows, we can actually design the part with every single one of those features in mind and make sure that we lay the metal down in the right area so that once we've done the machining, that's going into service as the part you want it to be, and you're not having to sacrifice one thing for another. With the versatility of the Meltio technology, it can be used in quite a lot of different industries. So what that means is that we can go into a manufacturing environment where it's sat next to a machine tool and you're just producing generic off-the-shelf metal components. We're also seeing a lot of work in the military industry where we need parts in difficult to reach areas that are hard to manufacture, or also things that fail in service that we can do repair work when we integrate this kit onto a robot. One of the areas, like with the closed impeller that we've got here, that's helping us get into the oil and gas industry as well, so producing parts that again are typically really difficult to do through traditional methods or actually end up being really costly. being able to produce those just in time, on site, reduces lead times, downtimes and actual operation costs just by producing them through a system as simple as this. So we brought in Adam, who's our Meltio commercial lead for the UK. Adam, can you tell us a bit about the misconceptions that we get about Meltio technology when we're implementing that into companies?
Yeah, definitely. One of the main misconceptions people tend to have is the cost of the parts. I think a lot of the times, because the parts are so much cheaper than what they're getting traditionally through casting and forging, they almost don't believe that the parts are as cheap as they are. We've done cases where the parts are £100 or less and the comparative to traditional is over £5,000, so the difference can be massive.
So if producing parts relatively low cost, what about the lead times of getting them in the operator's hands?
Yeah, again, the time from the machine being idle as it is now to being operational and printing components can be as little as a couple of hours. And then you'll have a part in your hand that can be machined, or if you look at some of the surface finishes here, you can even use them straight off the machine in a lot of cases. So again, compared to traditional, it can save weeks or even months for just a single part.
And is there any special environment requirements that we need for these machines to be deployed?
No, as you can see, we're just in our warehouse here at the office up in Chorley, and the machine is perfectly safe in this environment. We've got customers who have them in an office environment even, so as far as where you put them where they need to be, they're perfectly safe.
And how easy are they to use? Is that something that you could run?
As the sales part of the conversation, it sounds easy to say that they are very easy to use. However, they do take a little bit of practice and training, but if you've got experience with 3D printing already, the learning curve can be quite short. To take the most out of the machine, obviously we advise taking training, but once you've had that training, it can be a very simple process.
Right, amazing, thanks for that, Adam.
No problem.
So, if you want to know more about the Meltio technology, how you can implement it, reach out to myself or Adam at 3dgbre.com or click on one of the links that's attached to this video.